Hello everyone, today we are going to look at Falcon Pro. Falcon Pro is our latest Shopify theme and in fact is our flagship theme release, and that's because this theme is built completely from scratch. It has no dependencies or codes from other sources. Everything on this theme is built from scratch for maximum performance and page speed. Okay, normally, as all our Shopify themes, you can find this theme under our themes section here, Falcon Pro, and here we have the theme description and also all the details for the section it has, the features that are on the collection page, on the PTP, and on the cart drawer. Also, the demo you can check anytime and check all the features on yourself. You can check, of course, the collection pages here, the product page or the PDP here, and of course the cart drawer and all the features that this theme offers. Okay, on this video we are going to check first some of the features that stand out for the theme, for the Falcon Pro. And then we're going to check the various configuration and settings that we have on the theme customizer. Okay, so first, the goal for this theme was to have the maximum possible in terms of page speed, and we're proud to say that we have reached that goal. We have a 1 second loading time, and we reached the goals for two reasons mostly. The first one is that, as we said, this theme has no dependencies or codes that normally other developers use to complete the theme, because not all themes are built from scratch. They use codes from other developers. Like, for example, on our previous themes, we use Bootstrap framework for our main framework and build a theme around that framework. But that's not the case for Falcon Pro. Everything is built from scratch. We took the time to build all these drawers, all these models, the drop downs, and all the features that are found in a theme completely from scratch. And that makes it very, very, very fast, because all the codes are exactly what are needed. There are no redundant codes. And you can easily test this, of course. For example, if you open here in a new incognito window and check our theme demo, and if you go here on the developer tools and check the network here, and if you do a hard refresh here, allows me to do a hard refresh. But if we do a hard, let me check if I can do the refresh in another way, because I'm on the Loom video and it doesn't allow me to do the hard refresh with the keyboard. Okay, as you can see here, the page speed, the load time is around 400 milliseconds. And normally, because we're doing a refresh and not a hard refresh, but even with a hard refresh, this number here should stay below one second. And that makes this theme extremely fast, because it loads as soon as it opens, and that's, as you know, this is a critical factor for your store success. Okay, here we have the second important point, which is that this theme features around 20 plus advanced sections from hero slider to powerful contact builders. And of course, for the full list of sections that this theme offers, you can check the product detail page anytime. And here are all the sections. Normally some sections are general, are simple, like the rich text, but even the rich text section, as you are going to see next, is very advanced for this theme. It's not just a rich text section, but has other functionalities, like you can add an image to it, or you can add a video, etc. But of course, this theme has these other advanced sections like the shoppable videos section. That is a section that many customers want to use. Is this one right here, or this animated handout section, or this advanced Hiki media section. They change the slides as you scroll, or the image compare, and normally you can have all type of sections here that you need to build a successful Shopify store. Okay, the third important point that we want to mention is that the 10 plus product page features, and again these features are all listed on the product detail place, and we have here like the sticky add to cart, the quantity breaks, the cross sells, upsells, or the personalization fields, and all kind of advanced features that you can use anytime to build a successful Shopify store. Of course, the color swatches are there. This option here that tells if a variant is out of stock. We have here the personalization fields that you can use to get additional product attributes. We have support for the Shopify subscription app. Then you have a countdown block here. Then this is an important and very advanced functionality, the quantity breaks features. And all these features we're going to check in the later on. This right here is the upsell blocks that you can use many of these fields to offer additional upsells for your main product, and so on. Also is another important section that is really needed for some stores, like the frequently brought together section, and as you can see, this section works very well and is used to sell multiple products at the same time. Okay, then you have the advanced features on the cart, and if you check the cart drawer, it has this advanced 3-tier cart goal, so you can have three goals within it. Like for example, here we have this. The first one is the free shipping. Then you get a free gift, and you get a percentage if you reach the third goal. Of course, we have list all the features here, but normally you don't have to make use all of them, but only those that make sense for your store. Then you have another very important point for this theme, which is the bundle builder feature. And again, we are going to talk about it a bit more in depth on our next session. But what is important to note here is that this bundle builder has two way of operating. You can either use it by the total amount in the cart, like if you reach, for example, $100, you'll get 10%. If you reach $200, you'll get 20%. But the second way is by the quantity of items. So instead of the total amount in the cart, the goals are reached based on the quantity. So if you add 2 items on the cart, on the bundle, you get 10%, and if you add 3, you get 20%, and so on. Also, another important point that is worth mentioning here is that this bundle builder is a section, and you can use it on any page that you like. Even on the home page, you can just add this section here, and it will work without any issues. Then another important point that is worth mentioning is that this theme is very modern. In fact, it was just finished, so also it is a mobile first approach, meaning that first we took the time to make it perfect on mobile, and then it's adapted for desktop. So for example, one of the best best features that is perfectly done for this theme is the mobile navigation, and as you can see here, it works with the slide from the right way, which is the the best way to and the proven way to have the mobile navigation, because especially if you have lots of navigation, this way of having the navigation instead of the collapses works better, and is proved to works better. So yes, this mobile navigation is very important for this theme. And yes, that should be all for the introduction. Next we are going to check the global settings that we have for this theme, and then we are going to check some of the important sections that we have, some of the important sections and configuration that we have, so you can see, because normally on the demo you can see just the front end, but on this video you are going to see the behind the scene, how the theme customizer is constructed for this theme. So yes, first we are going to check these global settings here, and then we are going to check the various sections and configuration that we have for them. Okay, this is now the global settings that we have for this theme, and of course the most important one are the colors, and this theme uses the newly color scheme feature that Shopify has recently announced, and normally this is found in Dawn. If you have used Dawn before, the official Shopify theme, probably you are familiar with it. And the way they works is you create these various schemes that you can attach to these sections. For example, we have here 5 schemes, and let's say for this announcement bar I want to change the colors. I can just attach it to a new scheme. For example, I can choose the scheme 1, and it will completely adjust based on the colors from that scheme. Okay, so here on the scheme, if you open the first one, we have here the background, and that's the main background color. And also, if you prefer to have a gradient for this scheme, you can do so. And as you can see, I chosen a very fancy gradient, but normally you can choose a gradient that doesn't have that much of a color changes. And normally you can leave this field empty, and you just use the background color. Then you have the text here, so the background is white and the text is black for this theme. And we have here an accent color, and that's a color that, for example, you can see here is the active color here, is this element right here, and in other words, this is the main brand color for your business. Okay, then you have some other settings for the buttons. We have the buttons background color, the text, and the border color. Normally you can just leave it like we have here based on the text color, but if you prefer to have different style buttons, you can do so. And the same applies to the other color schemes here, like this one right here just uses a light background color. This one is an inverted scheme from your main one. For example, on our color scheme 1 we have the background white and the text black, and in this one we have the background black and the text white. And also we have 2 more other color schemes that can be used, but of course you can change everything on the schemes based on your colors. In this way also it's important to note that in this way it's very easy to, for example, to have the whole theme in a dark mode. For example, if you have a store that uses the dark colors, all you have to do here is have a black background color, is have a white text here, and normally all the colors will change to match that design. Okay, so that should be all for the color schemes. Then you have here on the general tab, we have some settings, and also here it's important to note that we prefer to keep the global theme settings simple and on point. We don't have too many options here, and all the options are in fact within the sections and or the other important parts like the product page or the collection page. But here on the global settings we have just the foundation, just the basic to customize the store. So for example, even with these few options that we have here, you can completely adjust the way this theme works. For example, here we have the container maximum weight, and you can see it is now on the 1400 pixel, but you can adjust it. For example, you can have it more narrow if you prefer so, or wider like 2000 pixels. And you can see now the container is much more wider than the default 1400 pixels. Okay, let's leave it like it was. Then you have here the global border radius, and that's an interesting option as well, because if you change it, for example, if you leave it like 1 rem here, it will make everything rounded. And this REM value here is you don't have to deal with it if you're not a developer. Normally it's just a value that is used in web design to work. It's different. It's a bit different than pixels, but it's not important to know the details about it. Just know that if you have it like 1 RIM here, it will make the everything rounded. And if you prefer, you can have it 1.5, and it will make like this pill style mode here, and it will change for almost everything. Like you can see here now, the product cards are rounded, everything is rounded on the theme, like this one right here, the bottoms, this image right here, this part right here, and everything should be rounded to match the style for the global border radius. Okay, here we have the global border opacity. So now the borders are fully the full text color, like you can see here, it's fully black here. But if you change this one right here, if you prefer to have a lighter borders, like 15% is normally a good choice. And you can see now the borders are lighter, like this one right here, the menu right here, these borders here, and the elements on the card, for example, are lighter. But if you change it here, like we have it, everything is 100% opacity. Then you have here some options, like the options to enable or disable the search. You can do so. If you can do that if, for example, you have just a few products. Normally in that case the search is not needed. Then you have the options to disable the wish list here, and the scroll animations. So if you don't like these animations as you scroll, you can disable them and just leave it plain simple. Okay, and you have here an option to change the card from the card icon to a back style if you prefer to have that kind of style. Okay, now here on the typography settings, you can change, of course, the font for the headings. For example, you can have a different font from the headings, and this uses the Shopify fonts library, making the font loading very fast. And you can change the headings, and you can change the body font. Also, we have a settings here to change the font base for the headings, and now this is the default 1 rem. But if you prefer to have bigger headings, it will change all the headings from headings 1 to heading 6, all of them will be bigger or smaller as you adjust this setting right here. Normally you don't have to change this option. Then you have the options to select the logo. You use the logo across the site, like the navigation here, and also the five icon image, and that's the browser small circle that shows right here. And then here we have the settings from the product cards, and this, as you can see, you have lots of settings, because normally product cards are a very important part of a Shopify stores, and normally you have to have full control on the way they show up. So first we have the color scheme. If you prefer to have a different color scheme than the default one, for example, you can have the scheme 2, and this effect shows better if you have the card style set to card. For example, you can have these settings right here. Normally I have to change here, but I suppose we are on the theme editor and it's not showing up correctly. But let's move to the second one. Is the style, is the card style, and this one normally you can have two styles. For example, you can have this borderless style. If you prefer to keep it simple, use this default style, but if you prefer for the product cards to show as a card style, you can choose these options right here, and they show up better on the collection pages. Normally here, as you can see, now we have this card type of style, and that's a style that you might prefer to have. And you have here the text alignment. Normally you can have it center, and on some rare cases on the right, but normally on the left side is fine. And we have here the heading size, and this is for the product titles. You can have to have you can choose a bigger font if you prefer for the headings, or a smaller one. Smaller one normally is good if your product titles are very long. And here you have the heading font, if you prefer to get the font from the headings or from the body, and that's the fonts that you check here on the typography. If you prefer to show the vendor, you can do so. If you prefer to disable the ratings here, you can do that too. If you prefer to hide these color swatches here, you can do that also. And then here we have the settings for the main image here, and as you can see, the second image shows on the hover. And here we have the first settings is the image ratio, and normally you can choose to have that to adapt. It will adapt to the proportions of your product images, but normally square is the better choice. And portrait mode is also a choice that is used on some cases. If, for example, on products with people, normally they are preferred in a portrait mode. Okay, then you have here the options to show the second image on the hover. If you don't prefer to have that options, you can disable that. Then we have the setting for the sale badge, and is this save 25% here, this one right here, that it shows if your product is on sale. Then we have three options for it. We have two modes for it. You can choose the percentage or the value. If you don't want to show value, but how many dollars are in fact your customer savings, you can choose value here. And of course, if you don't want to show that at all, simply hide it. Okay, then we have here the custom badge, and the custom badge is this one right here, as are these trending, last chance, summer deal, on sale, or most liked badges that shows here. We have already a tutorial for that, how to show these custom badges, and that is found on our support forum. In case you need to check that, you can do so. But here you can check the meta field that is needed to show these badges right here, which for our case is custom is the key and the badge is the meta field name. Okay, and you have here the tutorial how to do that. Then you have the color for this wish list icon. Normally you have to change it. For example, if your products are mostly with a dark background, normally you have to change it to white so it can show up fine on those cases. Then you have here some options for the add to cart form, and this is the bottom of the product cards is the add to cart form. And here, of course, that's an important part of the product cards. And here, if you don't want to show these forms at all and keep the product card simple, simply hide these forms here. And then the important part is the form style. Here, in fact, we have three options that you can choose. The default one is the variant selector, and the variants are the combination of options, and we will show all the variants at the same time along with the pricing for each variant. Because normally the variants might have different prices, but it's important to note here that the price will not show if all the variants have the same pricing. Okay, but another way to show this is the option selector. So the variants are the combination of options, and the options are the two options, for example, that you have for these products are the color and the size, and the variants are the combination of these two options. So if you prefer to show the options, you can do that too. So the customer can select here first the color, and then they can select the size, and they can add the product to the cart. Of course, everything is dynamic. So for example, if I change this one right here to red, normally it will show the corresponding variant image. Normally we are using dummy images, but normally it should show the red color for your product here. It will show automatically on the cart. It will also select this red color swatch automatically as you change it. The same applies for the variant selector. It will change the color swatches and the variant image. The same thing, if I change the color swatch, it will change the main image here, and it will adopt the variant selector here. And here the third way to show the forms is the quick view. So maybe you prefer to have a quick view instead of the default variant or option selector, and in that case normally the customer have to open the product in quick view option and see all the images here and select the corresponding variant that they prefer. Okay, and then here we have here the bottom style. Normally we have it on the outline, but if you prefer to have full color here, you can do so and have it with the primary color. And the third way is the accent color that we've seen before. Okay, that should be all for global theme settings. Next, we're going to check some of the options that we have for the main section, the advanced section that we have for this theme. Okay, let's check now some of the important sections that we have in Falcon Pro. Normally, we are not going to check all the sections because that would be too much for this video, but some of the important ones. For example, the first section that normally we deal on is the announcement bar, and is this bar right here. And here on this section you can have as many announcements as you prefer, but normally up 2 or 3 is enough. And each of this block here is an announcement on the slider. And of course, if you just have one announcement or one slide here, normally the rows will hide here, and it will be just this text right here. Then the first one normally that is the first settings for each section is the color scheme, and normally you can have a different one if you prefer. And then here we have the font size. You can increase it or decrease it as you prefer. And here we have the text transform. You can have, for example, everything in uppercase if you prefer that style. Also we have the letter spacing. Normally is a settings found for some of the sections like this one, where you can have it the letters are spaced between, a nice touch to the settings. And here we have the maximum width, and is the width right here, because normally these arrows should be close by. That it's not good to have them on the very sides of the section, and here you can adjust the maximum width if you prefer to do so. And here you have some settings for the slider, like the speed. If you prefer to change that, now the slider should change more slowly. And the autoplay feature, that you can have it to automatically change the slide every 5 seconds. And if you want to disable autoplay, simply leave it to 0. Okay, we have here the label, and normally this will not be visible on the theme, but only visible for the screen readers for accessibility purposes. So users with that are browsing the theme, the store with a screen reader, for example, normally they don't see what is this section about, and the screen reader will announce that this section is an announcement bar. Normally you have to change it here only if you are using another language, not English, for that case. And you have here the spacing. Again, this spacing top and bottom is found almost on all sections, and you can change it to have bigger spacing top and bottom if you prefer to do so. Okay, that should be all for the announcement bar. Also, of course, each of these slides here have their own settings. So here we have the text that you can change. We have the link that will link the whole text on the announcement bar, and we have an advanced feature here is the countdown, which of course is optional. And the way this works, for example, on the second slide we have it, on the first slide, sorry, on the first slide we have it. So the way it works is that if I have the countdown here, if I set a date here, normally it will show as a countdown here, as you can see here, 11 hours. Of course, on our demo it always stays 11 hours. That's because that's for demo purposes, so we don't have to change it all the time. But for your cases, if you change this date right here, it will show the remaining time based on the date that you specified here. Okay, that should be all for the announcement bar. Then we have the header here, and for the header we have 2 blocks, and the first block is the mobile, which affects the settings for the mobile, and the second one is desktop, which affects the settings for the desktop header. For the main settings here we have the color scheme. So if I chose a different color scheme like the scheme 3, as you can see now all the header has completely changed to black background. Okay, then we have here the border bottom. If you don't want to have this border on the bottom here, you can disable it, and instead you may enable this nice box shadow here. And also here we have the settings for the sticky header, so you can disable the sticky header if you don't want to have a sticky header at all. Also you can always show it, and it will always be visible as you scroll. Then we have here the full width, so you might prefer to have the header in full width, like as you can see now, but normally recommended to keep it within the container, with the default container that you can change it here. Okay, then we have the settings for the mobile header. We have here the logo height. If you change it, it will change the logo height here and increase the width at the same time. Normally on the mobile view, on this particular view, is not very visible, but if the device is bigger, like for this case right here, normally the logo will show up bigger. Okay, then you have here the settings for the main menu here. Let me check it here. The main menu that you can change. We have the color scheme that you can change. We have the font size and all the settings that affects only the menu here, the main mobile menu. Then you have the settings for the icons. You can choose this left icon here. You can't choose the mobile this hamburger menu. This must be here for obvious reasons, but you can change this search icon here. You can choose a different icon. For example, you can show there the account, the wish list, or the localization if that's important for you. And on the right side, the same thing applies. So you can't normally change this cart icon here. It must always stay there because that's an e-commerce store above. But you can change this wish list icon. You can have a different icon if you prefer so. You can also control the icon size, the stroke width if you prefer to have lighter icons. You can do so, or more visible icons. And also the spacing between icons, you can do so. And the spacing top and bottom here. Then on the desktop menu here you have the same logo height, but in this case it applies only for the desktop view. As you can see here now, the logo shows up bigger. Then you have here the logo position if you prefer to have the logo on the left and the menu on the center, and that's another standard approach for the header. It gives more room for the menu. So in cases you have if you plan to have many menu items here, normally it's better to have the logo position in the left and have more room for these menu items here. Then you have the menu here, which is the main menu. You can change it here. You have the font size. If you prefer to have a bigger font size for the menu items, you can do so. The text transform, the letter spacing, if you prefer to be a bit more fancy, and the color schemes for the drop downs. Like for example, you can change it here. You can see now the drop downs show up in a different style. Okay, then you have the same settings for the icons here, and the settings top and bottom. Okay, that should be all for the navigation bar or the header. Now let's see the footer. And for the footer, let's refresh first the page so we don't mess up the settings, because we are checking the live theme. So for the footer, here we have first again the color scheme. So if I change the color scheme here, you can see it will change the whole color scheme for the footer. So yes, that's interesting to see, and just by changing the color scheme you have a completely different footer. Then you have this linear gradient setting that is visible mostly for the dark variants. As you can see here, normally we don't have the linear gradient, but if I have it here, it will have a nice gradient on the top. We have the border top opacity. Normally this is visible if you have the light color scheme. You can see now that the border opacity changes. Okay, then we have full width. Again, like the header, you can choose to have the footer in full width or not. Like you see now, it's taking the full width, but normally we recommend it to keep it within the container. Okay, also another interesting option here is the fixed footer on desktop, and only on desktop devices. On the mobile it will not have effect. So if I open here, it will see that the footer is always staying visible, and if I disable it, it should be a normal footer, and it will not stick on the bottom. Normally on the editor it's not showing correctly, but if I check it on the store front end, it will have effect. Okay, then you have the settings here. If you don't prefer to have collapses on the mobile view, you can disable the settings here, and all these blocks here it will show up without a collapse mode. Okay, then you have here the settings for the newsletter. This newsletter right here on the top, you can completely disable it, and if you disable it, for example, you can enable the newsletter section instead, if you prefer to have that approach. In that way, the newsletter, for example, will be visible only on the home page, for example, and the footer will be normally smaller on the other pages. Okay, and we have some settings for the newsletter. Then you have some settings for the bottom part of the footer here. We can show up this payment icon here, this policy links here, and the powered by links here, and this button right here that is useful if you have many sections and your page content is very large. Okay, and the settings for the spacing top and bottom here. Of course, each of these blocks have their own settings. Like this about us block here have some settings, for example, to change the background opacity, to change the border opacity, the spacing, the text alignment here, and only effects to this block right here. Also to show up these social icons or not, to change their size, to have a logo here or not, and also title and the description. The same things applies to these other blocks as well. These are menu blocks, and this is a rich text block. And it should be all for the footer. Again, let's refresh the page. And now we have all these sections on the home page. As we mentioned, you have many sections that you can utilize anytime. Normally you don't have to enable the bold, but of course for demo purposes we are showing all the sections without any specific order on the home page. We have here this parallax image, we have the shoppable video, the countdown, this sticky media, this image compare, this media with text section, and this works by block. So each of this part right here is a block. So this is just one section with different blocks. Then you have the lookbook sections that works with the preview feature. Then we have the Instagram inspired gallery. We have a table compare, and we have this collection circles section, the trust icons, and as you can see we have many sections, and normally we don't have the time to show all them here for this video, otherwise it will be very long, because this is just an overview video for the Falcon Pro theme. But let's check just one section. Let's check the hero slideshow section, and that's an important section, of course, especially for the home page. And here we can choose the color scheme. Normally this color scheme is not visible because the section takes up the whole width, but for example if you have padding here, it should be visible. Then you have here the show controls. Here are this one right here, the previous and next buttons. If you don't want to show them, you can do so, you can disable them. We have settings to change their appearance. For example, you can choose the outline style here, and as you can see now they have border. You can choose another inverted style or the accent one, if you prefer to have them in your accent colors. Then you have here the settings for the pagination, are these small dots here that I can change the slide with them. They can either be a fraction style, like showing how many slides and what slides we're currently in, or simply disable them at all. Then you have the speed here, and that's the transition time between slides. Like now, for example, the slides will change very slowly. Okay, then you have the autoplay feature. Again, here, if you don't prefer to have the autoplay, simply select 0 here. Then you have the settings for the zoom effect. Like if you change the slide, you can see that it has a nice zoom effect, and you can disable that. Then here we have the settings for the mobile height and the desktop height. So since this is a slider and it has many slides, it's important for all the images to be on the same height, and you can control this height here. For example, on mobile we have 480 pixel height, but if I change it here, normally the image will be much more will be bigger on mobile. Okay, the same things apply for the desktop height. If I change these settings here, as you can see now the image is narrow. Okay, then we have here the settings for the full width. Normally the hero slider should be full width, but in some cases you might prefer to have it wrap it in a container like this, so it's wrapped in the container. Okay, then we have here the settings for the spacing that you've seen, and then of course each of these slides here, now we have 3 slides, and you can have as many slides as you prefer, and normally each of these slides has their own settings. Let me disable the full width setting. So for example here, for the first slide you have here the image, and also you can have a different image for mobile if you prefer to have so, but normally if you have just one image, it will show this image on both mobile and desktop view. Then beside the image you can have MP4 video. So if you upload here a video, the image will not show up anymore, but the video will show instead. Okay, then you have the overlay settings, and normally since we are showing text here, we need to make the text more visible. So what you can do is change this opacity settings here and have the images darker, so the text now is more visible and legible for the users. And you can change also the overlay color and have this nice effect if you prefer to go fancy with that. And you have the blur settings. This blur will make the image underneath blurred, and also this helps to make the text more legible. Okay, then we have here the settings for the content, for the text. We can have the position change for the mobile, either top, center or bottom. as you can see now, the content is shown up on the bottom. The same for the desktop. I can have the text either on the left side, either on the right side, or at the bottom center of the screen. Normally you have to change it if you for the point of view of the image is on a specific part. Like for example, if it's on the left side, if this bag was on the left side, you can have the text show on the right side. Then for each of these slides, you can have the subheading, the title, the description here, and also you can change the font sizes for this text. If you prefer to change, you can do so. And you have the settings for this primary button here and the secondary button. And yes, this should be all for the hero's slideshow setting. And again, we have many more settings that normally it will be a very long video to show them all. But of course, our support team is always there to help. So whatever the difficulties, whatever the also of course, if you have to change anything to adjust the feature, even to have a new settings, if we think that section can help other users, we are willing to add that section to the theme. Okay, that should be all for this part of the video. Next, we are going to check the collection pages, and we're going then to check some settings for the product page, and finally for the cart drawer. Okay, let's check now the collection pages. So the collection pages, we're using the collection section here, and this section is visible only on the collection pages normally, of course. Then as you can see, this collection section is split into three parts. We have here the header. We have another interesting block, which is this collection circles that you can enable or disable, for example, if you don't want to have this collection circles. But many of our customers like this feature right here. Then we have, of course, the main product grid section, or better yet, the product block that is within this collection section. Okay, normally for the section itself, we don't have any settings, because normally it's just a wrapper for all these three main blocks that we are using. So first we have the header here, and the header normally is very advanced for this theme. It utilizes our way of thinking of how a collection header should be, with the text on the side and on the image on the other side. But of course, for the mobile view, it changes in a different way. So now the text is overlaps the image. Okay, so here we have the color scheme for the header. If you prefer to change it, for example, you can choose a different color scheme. Okay, then you have the option to show this collection image on the side, and that's the default collection. Normally it changes for all the collections. So for example, if I am on a different collection, it shows a different image based on the collection that I'm viewing. Okay, then you have the option to show the collection description, the font size, to show this broadcast navigation here, also to be on the full width or not. And these settings right here affects only on the mobile view. So we can change here the text align, we can change the image overlay color if you prefer to be a bit fancy and have the text more visible in this way. If you prefer to have a bigger spacing, you can do so. You can do that too. Then we have here the settings for the desktop view. Here we have the text align. You can have it on the center if you prefer. The image overlay color, again, like we've seen on the mobile view. And then you have the spacing for the padding, top and bottom. Okay, that should be all for the collection header. Then you have this block, the collection circles, and this also is a section on itself. The collection circles is this section right here. Okay, but now it shows the active collection that we are in. So if I am on this baby's collection, it will make the circle active. So with this nice star icon here. And here, of course, we can choose. We have to choose the collections, and this is done through a menu. So all this collection links here are based from the menu. Okay, then you have the color scheme. Normally it will change the color scheme. If you prefer to be the full width or not, the text align here. If you prefer to have them on the left or on the center, and a label, as you have seen before, this is used for accessibility purposes. So users with browsing from a screen reader needs to know what is this section about. Then you can change the image size here. If you prefer to have bigger images, you can do so, or even smaller. The title font size here, if you prefer to have bigger, like you can do it, for example, like this. If you prefer to show how many products are within that collection, you can enable or disable that as well. Then we have here the settings for the product grid. We can change the color scheme if we prefer. We can have this in full width or not. Like as you can see now, it is taking the full width. Then we have here how many products we like to show per page, and we can do that at a maximum of 50 products. 48 is a good number as well to have. Okay, but also, as you are going to see next, these themes use the infinite pagination. So normally users, all you have to do just scroll and it always show products, and this is an important feature to have, especially of course if you have many products to show. They will keep up showing as soon as the user scrolls the page. Then here we have the options to show this, how many products are within this collection. If you prefer to have to show this sort by, drop down here, and the infinite pagination, if you disable, it will just show the pages that the user have to click. Okay, then we have the option to change the how many items to show per row. So for mobile we are showing 2 items, but normally if you have only a few products, you can even choose one here and show just one product per row. Okay, then on the tablet view we are showing 3, and on the desktop view we are showing 5 products, but you can change that to your liking. Okay, but here also we have the column selector feature, and that's very interesting. An interesting feature to have, and that's because, for example, you can leave these options to 5 and it will show by default 5 items in a row, but the customers can adjust this through the settings right here. So there are many customers that prefer to view more in detail the product photos, especially if you are selling clothes or products that the product photo is important to have, and your customers can simply choose this, for example, 2, and they will have bigger photos to look at. And it's important to note that if I change it here, it will always stay in this way, so all their other collections, and in other words, these settings will be remembered by the browser. Okay, then we have the spacing here, and yes, that should be all for the collection page. Normally we have the filters here. Everything is dynamic, meaning that all these settings right here will not refresh the page, having in this way a bigger, a better user experience. And yes, that should be all for the collection pages. Next, we're going to check the product detail page. Okay, now we are going to see the product page, or the PDP, as we call it quickly on the e-commerce. Of course, the product page is very important page, and we need to have here all the important elements to make it have the most from our store. And of course, for the Falcon Pro, you're going to find all kind of advanced features to get the most from the product page, like this quantity breaks feature, like the upsells, the personalization fields, the color swatches, the countdown, and many other features like the stick add to cart, this frequently bought together, etc. And now we're going to check some of them, probably not all of them, but we're going to get to show just the foundation for the product detail page. Okay, here on the product section here we have the general settings. First, of course, like all other sections, we have the color scheme. If you prefer to change it, you can do so. Okay, then you have the settings for the media gallery on the side. We can have the image ratio here, either adapt or a square. And then you have the speed, and the speed is the transition effect that affects when you change in slides. It will be slower now as we changed it. Then you have to show the settings to show the controls or not, to show the pagination. Then we have here the settings for the controls color. Let's refresh the page. If I change it here, now I can see the controls. So here I can hide or show the controls or the previous next button, and with this button here I can hide this counter here. And here you need to change this. For example, if the products have a darker background, for example, you need to change this, so this controls needs to be white for them to be visible. Okay, and you can change the style for that, for those controls. You either have them as a circle or on the side. So on the side is another way of using. Let's change this color scheme now. As you can see now, we have this. So in other words, you can change these controls, the preview and next button, and this pagination here, exactly as you prefer them to be, because normally the product gallery is very important, and the products and the controls needs to work as expected. Also here we have the settings to show these thumbnails on the bottom or not, if you prefer to hide them, for example, or how many thumbnails per view you prefer to have. We have 5, but you can change this number, and these thumbnails will scroll. Also, if you just want them to hide on mobile, because on mobile view you need to have the content as high as possible, and if you prefer to hide them on mobile, you can do so, and in that way they will show only on the desktop. We have the option to show the custom badge here on the top and the full screen gallery for this gallery. Okay, if you want to enable or disable it. Okay, that should be all for the gallery, and then are all the blocks. And normally we saw the left side, which is the gallery, and the right side are all these blocks that you can see here. And of course these blocks can be moved, so if I change it here, the order will change on the store as well. So you have here all kind of blocks. Some are simple, some are advanced, like the quantity breaks. We are not going to cover them all, but let's quickly see some of them. So you have the rich text that you see here that we are showing the vendor, and you can just connect it to the vendor meta field, and we will pull the data from that meta field, and it will be different for each of your products. And of course you can control the settings for the rich text. You can have a different color scheme, so you can have a different style for this. And for example, here I can change the padding, I can change the border opacity. So if I have it like this, I can have it with a border. And in other words, you can adjust this block exactly as you prefer to have. You can have multiple. One can be dark, one can be white, and so on. Then you have the default product title here that is product title. Also you can choose to show this share button or not, and some of the customers in fact think that this button is not needed, but based on our observation it helps a lot, because users can share these products not just with their friends but with themselves as well. So if I open it on the store, if I click it share, and it is using the native share functionality that you have here on my Mac, but also on mobile it will use the native share functionality. So it is not just a copy paste thing, but it uses the native share functionality that users either can for example email the link themselves so they can check later on, or they can email the link to one of their friends. Okay, then you have this rating badge here that it pulls the data from either, you can use any of a review app. This is native now in Shopify, so it will always works independent of the app, the review app that you are using. Again, here we have the rich text that we are pulling the product subtitle meta field that is we need to show a subtitle, a different subtitle for each of our products. Then you have the price block that you can adjust, that you have the options selector. You can have either buttons or a select field if you prefer to change them. Of course, the color swatches are by default, so if you have enabled the color swatches for your product, that will automatically show as color swatches. Then you have the inventory bar block, is this one right here, that it is used to create a sense of urgency in your store. So if are less than 10 products here, which is our threshold, it will show in a way that create a sense of urgency. And you have the settings to adjust that. For example, you can adjust this progress bar height here, the maximum stock to compare, and that is used to create the percentage for the bar. So if you have 4 items and the maximum stock is 100, it will be 4% width. Okay, then you have the personalization fields, and these are custom attributes that you can use to get additional data for your product. So here I can add my name, or I can choose a file. Let me find a file here. For example, I can choose this. This is a large file, in fact. Let's choose another file, and if I add now the product to the cart, normally it will show the meta, the personalization field. But since we are using some other blocks like these quantity breaks here, normally it's not working as we're expecting. But normally, again, as we mentioned before, we are showing everything. Normally you don't have to have all these blocks enabled. You are going to enable the blocks that you need, but for demo purposes we have to enable everything to show the possibilities for this theme. Here, so for this personalization field you can have many. So we have here the name here, and we have here the file upload. But you can have other personalization field. For example, you can have a text area, you can have a date field if you prefer to get dates from customers for some type of business, either select field or check boxes. And all these product attributes will show up on the order or on the cart drawer. If you see now, we see here now your name. Normally you have to change it, for example, your country, and you can allow customers to select this field as an option. Okay, we have here support for the subscription widgets for the default Shopify subscription app. In case you want to enable subscription, it will work very well. Then you have the countdown block. Again, another block or section that you can use to create a sense of urgency in your store. Then you have the quantity breaks, and this is a powerful section to get the most from your store, because it allows your customers to buy more and save more, and your customers buy more and they save money, and you get more sales, and it's a win-to-win situation. Then we have here the upsell. Let's refresh the page so we don't mess up the live theme. We have here the upsell check boxes are this one right here, and there are another interesting block to have, and very useful, because you can offer upsell products to this main product, and you are going to sell more in this way. And they are very simple to set up. Just select the product, and if the customers want to select this, they are going to be added to the cart along with the main product. Then you have a separated section, and this is just for design purposes. So you can have, normally you can separate these blocks with a separator. As you can see now here, we are using a separator, and it's a nice way to separate blocks from each other. Okay, then we have this delivery information block here that again is used to show the customers the expected delivery that you can set up here. For example, the start days and the end days, it will be 7 days in advance, up to 10 days in advance, and the block will calculate automatically the date based on the start and end days that you have set up here. Then you have the buy buttons here. You can show or hide this quantity field here if you prefer, if you don't want to have that. And the to cart and the buy now buttons. Also, if you enable the dynamic buttons, it will show different payment methods by default for Shopify, like the PayPal button or the Amazon button or the Apple button, dependent on the payment methods that you have on your store. Also, you can hide or show this wish list button here. Then we have the trust icons block. The trust icons block are this one right here, so to increase trust from your store, and you can have up to 5 trust icons, but I think 3 is a good number to have. You can choose an icon and have some text for them. Then you have the collapses, the collapse blocks, like we have here. We have about 5 collapses here. The first is the product details. Then you have some other collapse for demo purposes, the ingredients. Then you have the side chart. If you are selling clothes, you need to have a size chart. Then you have some information for the shipping. Normally you can link it here with a link to the shipping policy to read the full information about shipping, and the same for the returns and warranty. You can select icons for these blocks, but also if you leave it blank, normally is good also, just to have the text. Then you have another block for the local delivery, and this block is shown by default if you have enabled in the Shopify settings the options to provide local delivery or local pickup, so the customers can see the location and they can go themselves to your store and not only by your store online, by your online store. Okay, and we have this previous and nice button here, and that's if you are within your collection, it will show this button right here, so the customers can quickly go from one product to the other, and they are nice to have, especially on the desktop view. They give a nice way for the customers to quickly check all your products without having to go back to the collection, open the product. They can just do it by using this previous and nice and next buttons. Okay, this should be all for the main product. Again, we have lots of blocks here. Also, another important section for the product page is the cross sells, and is this section right here, but you can use this section even on the home page if you prefer. You are not limited just to the product page, and as you can see, it works in a way that as a bundle, so normally these are related products or products that can be bought together at the same times. For example, a product like not sure what the name in English is that, but you get the idea. Products that are related to each other that can be sold at the same time, and normally you have many settings here to customize this section. For example, you can change the discount here, so, and the minimum items to apply to discount, so meaning that now the customers need to have 2 items here at least 2 items, and they will get 20% discount. So if I just have it now 1 item, it will show that you need to buy at least 2 items to save 20%. So if I have it 3, they need to have to select 3 items to get this 20% discount. Okay, of course this doesn't work only by adjusting the section settings. You actually have to create the automatic discounts in your Shopify admin, but that's another, we have covered that on our support forum. If you need to work on that, you can check our forum anytime. And of course, this section has other settings as well, like the styling that you can choose, and all the other settings that you need to adjust, like the header, some other general settings, like to show these badges. If you think this is too much for this settings, you can hide these custom badges here. And that's another powerful section to have on your store. And probably these features, it's important to know that these features normally are done with apps. In other themes, you have to install apps, you have to pay monthly for the app, and probably the app doesn't work as expected because each theme is different and the app doesn't adapt very well on all themes. But since this is fully integrated on themes, it perfectly is adapted, it designed perfectly, it works perfectly on mobile as well, which is another important point to mention. And yes, you don't have to pay monthly for anything, you have all the features to build an exceptional Shopify store with this theme. Then here we have also the Judge Me. We have full support for the Judge Me app, reviews app. We have the recommended products. This, in case you don't know, but probably if you are familiar with Shopify, you know that these products show automatically based for the product that the user is currently looking at, and Shopify uses AI to show products that are related to that product. And we have here the sticky add to cart section, and this is this one right here that normally show when the customer passes by the main add to cart area here. So if I pass by that area, it will show the sticky add to cart. Of course, this is useful if your product pages are long, you have many information here, many sections to explain the product, and it will show the sticky add to cart section. Okay, that should be all for the product page. Next, we're going to check some of the features, some of the advanced features that you have on the cart drawer. Okay, now we are going to check some of the features you have on the cart. And for Falcon Pro, the cart drawer is located here on the bottom of the sections. And the way that in fact is a section is that each of these features of the cart is in fact a block. So that makes it easier, for example, to move things around. So for example, here we have the discount code, and if I want it on the bottom of all the blocks, and it will change. You can change that easily. Okay, so for the cart drawer, first we have some general settings that affects the cart. So let's refresh the page, and here we have show dynamic buttons. And if we enable this section, this setting here, it will show the dynamic buttons depending on the payment method that you have on the Shopify store. So for example, if you have Apple payments, it will show the Apple payments button, and so on. You have the options here to show this taxes and shipping tax. You have the options to show the continue button or not, and we have the option to show the payment icons, and that should be all for the general settings. Then we have here the settings for the announcements text. Here is this area right here. So normally we can use this block to show some important information, some important offer that the customer needs to see. For example, as a demo, we are telling that you have 10% off for your first order. Use the coupon code NEW10. And you can change the color scheme for this block right here, and you can change the font size and the spacing. Then we have an important feature for the cart, which is the cart goal, is this part right here, and this is a 3-tire cart offerings. So the customers needs to complete 3 tires to achieve all goals, but normally you can just have one, and that's perfectly fine as well. For example, if you want to show just one, all you have to do here is disable these 2 offerings, and normally now we have only the default 1-tire cart gold features that, like we're seeing here, you have to add additional $71 to achieve the free shipping method. Of course, this blog has its own settings. You can change the color for it. For example, if I change to this color, the whole area will change. We can change the progress bar height to make it more visible. You can change the text when our goal are completed. And here I'm not going to describe all the details. Again, you can use our support forum to get information more about this feature or ask your questions. But the important thing to note is that the whole feature supports multiple currencies. And of course, if you have just one currency enabled, things are easier that way, because you have to specify the value for that currency only. But of course, if you have multiple currencies, you need to specify the values for each of the currencies. And here you can select the icon for the goal, and the same things apply for an additional of 3 goals. Then you have the cart items, and are just the items that are on the cart that the customers have added to the cart. And here we have this advanced feature, which is the variance switcher, and that's an interesting feature to have, because the customers can change the variant of the product on the cart. So if they have added the red small variant, they can change it to pink small if they like, and that is done immediately on the fly, and that's a good option to have. Then you have the low stock threshold feature, and that basically it's shown if the inventory for that variant is lower than the specified value here, which we have here is 5, and if it's above 5, for example, if the quantity of that variant is 10, it will not show this text. But if it's lower, if there are 2 or 3 items only, it will show something like to trigger urgency, like you have seen before on the product detail page. And of course, here we have this nice animated trash icon that normally you can't disable or enable it, because that's mandatory for the items. And you have the quantity selected here, and everything works as expected. Also, we have this upgrade to subscription. This is a very selector switcher here, and if you are using the Shopify subscriptions, normally this is an interesting feature to have, because the customers might have added the one-time variant to the cart, and normally you have to push them to buy the subscription instead. Because as you know, it's more valuable for the stores to get the subscription rather than the one time, and they can do directly on the cart drawer, and they can change to a subscription model directly through that button. And as you can see now, the delivery every week 10% off, and now the subscription selector is hidden. Okay, then we have the upsells, another mandatory, I would say, feature for almost all stores is the upsells. You have to have upsells on the cart, because that's the perfect point to have the upsells on your store. And as you can see, it works by a slider. Normally you can choose a collection to pull the data from, and if a product is already on the cart, normally that upsell will not show anymore. If an upsell has variant, you can change the variant here, and it perfectly works with the whole cart. Then you have the cart note, another standard feature in Shopify. The customers can use this text box area here to write their own messages, and this message will be attached to the order for you to see and know what the special requests from the customers are. Of course, everything works without refreshing the page. It's dynamic, the order is saved, and it will show if they click the checkout button. Okay, now we have the discount form, and in fact this is just new because Shopify just a couple of weeks ago have enabled us theme developers to work with the coupon codes directly on the card, because previously it was not possible to get the discount code information on the card, but it works only on the checkout. But now we can show the discount code on the card. Okay, then you have here the gift wrapping, another upsell that you can use. Normally we are showing here the gift a gift product, but you can upsell any kind of product that you prefer. It doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to be a gift. It can be any type of product, as soon as it's general, everyone can buy from your store. It's a nice way to have a single upsell on your store. And if I add that product to the cart, normally it will not show anymore here. Then you have the calculate shipping block, and again that's another needed feature for some of the stores. Normally not all stores will, as we said before, we are just showing everything that the theme offers. Of course you have to enable the features that are needed for a store, and if the calculate shipping option is not mandatory for a store, there is no need to enable it. But basically it will show the shipping methods and the prices based from for the items on the cart. For example, if we get an Alabama zip code, we can test it here, and if I calculate it here, it will say that the standard shipping has this price, $27, and another shipping method with this, which is free. But of course this is just for demo purposes. It will show the correct shipping method that you have on your store. Then you have the delivery date option, another feature that is normally not needed for all store, but some store must use this feature, because with it the customers can select their preferred shipment date, and you can arrange things accordingly. Okay, I think we are done for the cart drawer, and as you can see everything works as expected. This is the state when the cart is empty. You have here this nice animated icon, and the blocks are still there, because normally the upsells are important. Even that the cart is empty, the customers can add a product directly from the upsell. Okay, that should be all for the cart. And finally, the last part that we're going to check is the bundle builder advanced feature that we have. Okay, the last advanced feature that we're going to check before we close this whole long video, this overview video, sorry, for the Falcon Pro theme, is the bundle builder feature. And that's a very advanced feature, in fact, and normally a feature that not all stores might use, but for those that have lots of products, it's really interesting, because it allows you to sell more by offering a way to give discounts per tire. So if the customers reach a certain point, they can get a certain discount, and so on. Now, there are two ways you can structure the bundles, two main ways. The first way is through the total of the bundle. So if I had here two products, I need to reach a total of $100 to get 10% discount, $200 to get 20% discount, and so on. And this is the first way, is through the bundle total. The second way is with the quantity of items, and that's the second demo that you have here. So if I add one item to the cart, I need to add two items to get 10% discount. If I add three, I get 20% discount. It's important to note that by itself the section will not apply any discounts to the cart, to the order. You actually have to create the automatic discounts on your Shopify admin by going here on the discount part, and you have to create the automatic discount. So for example, I need to select here the amount of order. If I'm using the first mode with the total, and here it must be automatic. I can have any title here, and for example, I offer 10% off for all options here when the minimum purchase amount is $100. You can adjust this other section as needed also, but basically that's the way. So if I have here three tires, 100, 200, 300, then here I have to create three automatic discounts. Again, as we mentioned before, everything is explained on our support forum. You can use the support forum to get help, to view the tutorials, or to get help for your specific request. Okay, another important thing to know about the bundle builder is that you can publish this section, because that's a section in fact, on any page you prefer. For example, you even can publish it on the home page and have a bundle builder directly here on the home page, and that's a perfectly fine approach as well. Here we have used it as a header, the parallax media section, but you don't have to do that. You can just have you can use the title here of the section and just make the title H1, make it bigger like this, and normally that's a perfectly fine approach as well. There is no need to use the parallax media header that we're using. Let's check now some of the other settings that you have for the bundle builder. Again, we have the color scheme, like all our sections that you can change. Then you can choose a collection to attach to the bundle. Normally this works by collection, so we have a bundle builder collection, but any collection should work. Or also, if you prefer, you can select individually the products to attach to the bundle. There is no need to select a collection, but if your products are spread within multiple collections, you can just select them here, and you can limit those products. If you are using the collection mode here, you can limit to this specific number. And then here we have the bundle mode, as we have explained before, with the amount of the total or the quantity of items. And here we have the tires. You can have as many tires as you prefer. For example, here you can have one more tire like this, and like this. But normally 3 tires is a good number to have. Again, if I have 4 tires here, I have to create 4 automatic discount. And then we have some other settings to fine-tune the bundle. We have here the minimum products, and that's the the minimum products that are required for the bundle. So if I have here 3 products, I can't add the products to my cart, or I can't check out them, because I need to have here at least 3 products to check out. So just to avoid having small bundles, because you need to have a specific number of products to the bundle in order for checkout. But if you don't want that option, just leave it to 0. Again, the same thing applies here. If I have to set a maximum, I can do that too. So now we have a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 5. So if I add many items here, as you can see, I can't add anymore, because I have reached the maximum of 5 items that my bundles requires. So just we can leave this to 0 and we are fine. Again, here we have an important settings, how this add to cart area works. So we have 2 ways here. Either we can add these bundle items to the cart, or we can direct checkout. So if I have direct checkout, we will see the checkout button here, and if I click this button here, it will skip altogether the cart, and instead it will redirect to the checkout with the bundle items that I have. Okay, let's go back where we were. So to the bundles, let's refresh the page so that we don't lose any changes. Okay, so if we go to the bundles here, not sure why it is redirect. Let me close quickly and open again. Bundles. Okay, great. Okay, we have some settings here for the heading that you can change. Then you can control the columns, so how many columns I prefer on mobile, on tablet, and on desktop. I can change those settings here. Of course, we have this summary card on the side, which is always sticky, like this. And then we have the settings for the bundle card. So if I prefer to have a different color scheme, I can do so. In this way, for example, is more focused. So you can change that. You can change the title, and here we have some settings for the spacing up, top, and bottom. Of course, here, for example, we have the options to view what we have added so far on the bottom, and that's done through a modal. I can adjust the items on the bundle as needed. Also on mobile, the bundle card shows on the top, but it's interesting to know that if I scroll down, on mobile only we see this sticky summary as well, so the customers don't miss the items that they have on the bundle. They are there all the time. So yes, the bundle builder is a very powerful way to sell on your Shopify store, and a good way to increase sales. And that should be all for this long video. If you have watched till the end, we thank you, and again, for every question, everything else, we are here to help, to answer those. You can use anytime our support forum or our contact us page or our live chat feature, and we'll be happy to hear from you. Have a good day, and see you soon.